Hi, my name is Matt Kosterman. I'm a 56-year-old white guy living in Chicago, Illinois. For the first 50 plus years of my life, I didn't think I was allowed to be here. Not just here in Chicago, but here, on Earth, in a body. I suffered from depression for most of my life. I smoked my first joint at age 11 and had my first drink of Southern Comfort straight from the bottle at age 13. While the cannabis never really took hold as an addiction, I drank alcohol for the next 20 years, many times to excess. In 1998, I began psychotherapy, and in the year 2000, I started on antidepressants. I spent 12 years on them and 15 years in traditional talk therapy. Meanwhile, I built a successful business, became a father to 2 amazing girls, and rehabbed an old house in a nice suburb. I did all the things. In 2010, I went through divorce, foreclosure, and bankruptcy. Fun times. After much flailing about, I got my head on straight in 2015, only to begin experiencing severe chronic pelvic pain along with fibromyalgia. I spent nearly 3 years in the Western medical system trying desperately to heal. In 2018, out of money and out of patience, my healing journey really kicked into gear after my first magic mushroom trip. The years since have been an amazing and challenging ride. I've traversed the physical and not so physical worlds and been fortunate to work with many, many talented healers. As a result of all my efforts, I now find myself in a place of receiving, contentment, and prosperity, the likes of which had eluded me for most of my life. There's a man named Daryl Anka who channels a being called Bashar. Bashar describes the process of engaging with a healer, that of giving yourself what is essentially a permission slip to move towards wholeness, healing, and right relationship. This podcast is an effort to share some of what I've learned and introduce you to some of the people and ways that literally gave me what feels like my permission slip for existence. It's also an effort to continue to spread the word that the traditional Western medical system, while effective for a great many things, is not necessarily the be-all end-all solution to every health problem, especially when the problem may be more spiritual than it is physical, as it was in my case. Thanks for joining me. I hope you enjoy it. Please like, subscribe, and do all the social media things that help spread the word. Share these links with people directly in your community. It is my sincere hope that you and others will benefit from my experiences. So here we are.
Hello.
Hello. I am here in potentially the first video appearance of the podcast and the 6th episode.
I feel so special.
Yeah. I am here with Laura O'Malley. Hello, Laura.
Hello.
And whoever else may decide to pop in. We don't know. Friends from all over. So I have known Laura for, going on 3 years now.
Yeah.
Right? 2022, I
Yep.
think.
Yep.
At Lux.
At least.
That open
Was
house.
it 2022?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
Yes. We have help from out there. So I'll let you tell about yourself, what you do, who you are.
Okay.
I call you a conscious channel, which in the vein of Paul Selig, that's how he describes himself.
So we're all channels.
Yeah.
I just allowed myself to awaken it, I guess. How far back do you want me to go?
I mean, just give a little bit about your origin story. I mean, I think the people that are likely to listen to this have experienced some kind of trauma in their life.
Okay.
Because pretty much everybody
has, yeah.
I didn't used to realize that.
I know. We thought we were special, didn't we?
Poor me.
I know. Okay, let's see. So it was 2014 when this all started happening, 2014 into 2015. I really think that probably my mom being diagnosed with lung cancer set it off. But I became very, very depressed. But it wasn't because of my mom's lung cancer that I was depressed. I was just very, very depressed. And I didn't understand why. My life was perfect. My kids were healthy. I lived in a good neighborhood. My house is great. My husband does well. And everything was perfect, except I didn't feel perfect. And I didn't understand what was wrong with me. And so that actually made me feel depressed because I didn't understand.
Why don't I feel?
Why don't I feel good? I have
good?
everything.
Right.
And so I was teaching at the time, I was substitute teaching at the time. And I had been doing so for 8 years, and I loved it. It was one of my favorite things to do. And I suddenly just felt like not only was that not fulfilling me, but also I was starting to get this weird dizzy feeling that was all consuming. And I had gone to the doctor and gone through lots of doctors. I went to the dizzy clinic in Chicago, and was in line to go to the Mayo Clinic, and nobody could find anything wrong with me. And
not an uncommon story,
yeah.
right?
And so that was contributing to the depression also, because I didn't like the way I felt. There was like a visual thing going on, and just unsteadiness. So I remember, I think I don't exactly recall how no, I didn't start meditating before, did I? No, they're actually giving me the story because I'm forgetting it. We were going to Mexico, and my husband said, "Let's go to the library and get books." Right. And I was like, "What are you talking?" He had never, in the 20 plus years that we lived in the area, he had never gone to the library. He bought all his books in the airport because he traveled for a living. And so I was like, "Well, I have my book. You go to the library and you get your book." And he's like, "Just come with me. I don't have a library card." I'm like, all you need to do is give them your license in here. And fast forward, he refused to go to the library without me, to the point where he was like, "Can you just effing go with me?" And I was like, I'm like, "Fine." So I went and found myself sitting on the floor upstairs in the nonfiction area, which I had never been to before. I always checked out fiction books when I was there. Found myself on the floor in front of about 3 to 4 feet of books on psychics. And I don't really remember how I got there. I don't know how I knew that it was there. But I found myself there, and I pulled a couple of books out, James Van Praagh, and brought them home and read the first one within the first day. Couldn't put it down. Started reading the second one, and the thing that he suggested that you do to feel better was meditate. And I had tried meditation several times in my life, and I couldn't turn off it wasn't mind chatter. It was screaming in my head. And he gave some suggestions, and I don't know if it had anything to do with what the suggestions were, or if I was just so surrendered because I was so sad. And I started meditating, and I remember saying prayers like, maybe I could just get cancer. And then again, because I had thyroid cancer.
Like you didn't want to be here anymore.
Yeah, I didn't want to be here. No. And so I was like, I would never have taken my own life. I've seen what it's done to families, and I just would have never done that anyway. That I wasn't, but I was literally thinking I could just get cancer and I could just get out of here. Mm-hmm. And during that surrender, they worked their way in and started doing their magic on me. And so initially it was just meditating for a couple hours a day, which was basically me experiencing something different than I had been experiencing, because during my life I didn't feel good, and I had the plastered on smile, and I was pretending to be happy, and I was horribly, horribly depressed. But in the meditation, I felt neutral. I didn't necessarily feel good. I just felt neutral. And so that was something, because it was better. And so I was doing it more and more. And it was, I started out for 30 minutes, and then it was an hour, then it was an hour and a half, then it was 2 hours. And at some point, I'm sure it was like 3 hours plus. And my husband would come and look in on me, and I would just wave him away because he was worried about me, which I can understand why.
You could have been like, "Hey, you're the one that told me to go to the library."
Right? So anyway, the meditation helped profoundly and got me to a place where I was feeling better. Not good, but better. And then my husband asked me again, it's like they were using him, asked me again to go to the mall it was around Christmas to go to the mall and pick something up. I don't know. And I don't do malls. I don't shop. I hate it. It gives me great anxiety. And so again, he's like, we can go to dinner after. So I went to the mall with him, and I did not want to walk the mall, and he had to go wherever he had to go. And so there was a bookstore, I think it was a Barnes and Nobles, and I walked into the bookstore and just sat down in a chair, and I was going to wait for him there. And once again, I was led to a shelf, and I don't know how I knew to go right to this shelf, but I was led to a shelf, and on the shelf was Rebecca Rosen's book. And I'm blanking out on the name now.
We can find it in prison.
I'm blanking.
But it was on Psychics or on channeling?
So she's a psychic channel out of, she's from Colorado, I think Denver. And God, it's killing me that I can't remember the name of this book right now. Anyway, I don't buy books. I never buy books. I go to the library, and I was like, I need to buy this book. And so I walked right up to the to the checkout because I was afraid I was going to change my mind, and I knew that I needed the book, and I was like, but it's this much money, and I had this huge money fear at the time. And so I forced myself to like literally run up and pay for it. And just as I was paying for the book, my husband walked in, and we left. So I started reading the book, and it was probably about 12 or 13 pages in. She starts talking about going to a bookstore and sitting down and writing in her journal, and her grandmother came through to her. And this is, I believe, the first time that she was automatic writing. And so she was talking about automatic writing, and I put the book down in that moment and picked up a pen and started doing it. And I didn't know if I was doing it wrong. I didn't know if I was doing it right. I didn't have any idea, but like, the thoughts, it's not like anybody was moving my hand. That's not how it works. The thoughts were my thoughts, but the thoughts were coming through, and and my hand was moving, and I think it went on for pages and pages. And when I finally stopped and put it down and then went back to it a few hours later, I was like, what is going on here?
Because you didn't even really...
I didn't remember writing
know
it. I didn't really, yeah. And so I started doing that every day. I was in contact with whoever was in contact with me, saying that they were my guides. Mm-hmm. And there were several of them, 7, and they were telling me their names. They were telling me what they were helping me with, and I thought it was all crazy. I truly did.
Like you were losing your mind,
I mean, I laughed about it.
Maybe not cancer, but the loony bin.
Well, not quite yet.
Okay.
I did think it was crazy. I also thought I was making it up.
Okay.
And I thought, that's fine. I'm making it up. It's fun, and it's, distracting me away from everything else. And so it wasn't until Dearest came through to me. Mm-hmm. So after like a couple journals worth of writing, a different energy came through, and it felt very, very different from my guides.
From your guide's energy.
And my hand went like up into the air. It was like I was holding a pen or a pencil with like a couple fingers, and then my hand came down, and the print that was coming out was like typeset. It was very, very odd. And I was like, ooh. I was like, woo, what's happening now? And I said something to the effect of, who are you? And they said like source or something like that. And it freaked me out, because when they said source, I heard God in my interpretation of that word. I don't know if I ever heard that word before, but I just thought,
in relation to God,
yeah.
Like in relation to.
And I thought the word God in my head as I was, and that's when I thought I had a brain tumor. Like, Then I thought, I threw the pen down. I ran upstairs to my room. I'm sobbing my eyes out. I'm like, I definitely have a brain tumor. God is talking to me. Like that's what happened. And so I was accepting of my guides, quote unquote guides, but not of God.
But not God.
Because I was raised Catholic, and so the idea of God was completely different. Like guides were like my angels. Okay, maybe they were talking to me, but why would God talk to me? I didn't really understand what I now understand about what source energy is. So, yeah. So,
I mean, you would have needed a priest at a bare minimum for God to come.
Oh God, no! Way too afraid. Way too afraid. Anyway, I didn't do it again for several days, maybe 4 or 5 days. I would have to look in my journal, and then when I finally went back and started having the conversation, they basically said to me, really, you prefer a brain tumor to speaking to, what you believe is God or something to that effect? And I was like, yeah, actually. And the information that came through that source was very, very different from what I had been told previously.
From your guides.
From my guides. And I don't
Because
know.
they were just sort of opening you and
They were giving me more information about them.
Yeah.
And this energy was giving me information about me. And so
were they like, hey, yeah, I'm from Buffalo and I'm from
well, no, they were
I'm a
just like,
plumber.
I'm in your life for this. Like Samantha was one of the first ones that came and said to me, actually, no, I found out about Samantha after, didn't I? Okay, yeah, they're going to correct me every time I'm.
It's like having your built-in autocorrect.
It really is.
Yeah.
Once I found out through this source that some bad things had happened to me when I was a child. I was sexually abused, which I didn't really remember it. I was really, really young when it happened. Then Samantha came through, who is no longer one of my guides, but was a guide when I was a child. And she explained to me that she would cover my ears, cover my eyes, and take me out of my body, like take my consciousness out of my body when it was happening, so I didn't have to, I guess, experience it.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't really know what to think about it other than I remember as an adult having an odd memory and asking my mom something about it and her face getting really weird. And then she basically made a statement about something that I said about my grandfather.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was a child and the situation that played out. And then she explained to me that she...
your mother.
My mother called my aunt.
Oh, Samantha explained this.
Samantha explained to me that I went to a movie theater and my mom was with me and my aunts were with me and I was 3-ish and it was a Tom and Jerry before the movie. Remember back in the day when they had the cartoons before the movie? And so it was a Tom and Jerry movie and it was the Tom and Jerry. And I remember this vividly where, and it might be more than just one, but Jerry's trying to run away and Tom has him by the tail and he's holding the tail and Jerry's doing the air running and he picks up a butcher knife and he goes to chop off Jerry's tail. And the second that the knife's coming down, Jerry escapes. And I start screaming hysterically.
In the movie theater.
In the movie theater. Like screaming and screaming and screaming and crying, and they cannot console me. They have to turn the movie off and everybody's looking at us and my mom and my aunts are carrying me out and nobody understood why.
Right.
And Samantha explained to me why. So Samantha explained to me that when at one point during the abuse, my grandfather said to me in a very happy, sweet, smiling way, holding a knife. And he was holding a knife and he was like, if anybody found out about this, they might get cut with this knife. And I hope, your mom doesn't find out about this. I hope your sister doesn't find out about this because they might get cut by this knife and you wouldn't want them. I mean, like in
Yeah.
a very sweet,
Just
right?
Oh man.
And so when I saw that butcher knife, it just set me off. And so my mom never even knew about that
Hmm.
because she had passed before I could, not that I would share that with her. I don't think I would.
But before all this came through, she
Yeah.
thinks.
Anyway, so little by little, I was having deep conversations with this source, and it became what I referred to as this dearest energy, because out of all the energies, and I don't know where the name came from, it just came to me, and I started calling them, and at the time thought it was an individual of some sort. So him, her, it, I don't know what I thought it was, but I just would write dearest, dearest, and then they responded to that name. And then a couple years later, I found out that dearest was not an individual. Dearest was a collective.
Collective of energies.
And they sort of just started moving me and helping. I don't know what I was doing. I started moving when I was meditating, and then I started moving over people that would allow me to, and I had no idea what I was doing, and people would say that they were seeing things and feeling things, and I was like, all right, I have no idea what I'm doing. And that was for several years, and then I started channeling one day when I was doing automatic writing, because I think I probably have 23 to 25 journals of automatic writing, and it wasn't coming. I couldn't write fast enough, and I was in such a surrendered state.
It was coming so quickly.
It was coming so fast, and my hand was writing so fast, and then it just came out of my mouth. And at that point, I knew what it was. And I knew that it was them speaking through me, and I was so excited because everything changed after that. So, yeah, that's what I do now.
And when was that? Was that pre-pandemic?
That was 22.
Oh, okay. 22.
When you first came through, that was 22. No. Okay. Wait. When did you first come through? Like
Verbally.
Through my voice? I think I'm nervous. I think I'm resisting. 19. Yeah.
Okay. So pre-pandemic.
2019. And why did you say 22? Okay. I don't know. They're saying we misunderstood.
Okay.
I don't think they did misunderstand. I don't know what the 22 was. Was that my nerves or something?
My daughter's 22 today.
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe we're supposed to talk about that.
Happy birthday, Adelaide.
I love that. Maybe that's what it was. Yes. That's funny. Yeah, that's how they work their magic. Whatever needs to come out comes out. So now, now I just connect with them, and people can ask me questions, or they deliver information, or it's all about becoming happier in your life. That's what it's about. It's, I sometimes call myself a happiness coach, but which is really what it is. It's they coach you. They coach you how to be happy.
How to be happy.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's remarkable.
Yeah. It's really fun.
Yeah.
And I've never been happier because
you're like, Laura's the happiest person I know on the planet.
I mean, truly, I went from like not wanting to be here to being like, oh my God, I am one of the most blessed people ever. And now, of course, I recognize that it's a choice I made to move in that direction. And it's a choice we all make in every moment. It's a choice you make in every moment. But all of us have this connection. And I know it, that when I say that to people, sometimes it freaks them out. And they're like, I don't want someone talking through me. I don't want to be that kook.
I might have a brain tumor.
Yeah. But, again, it's when it first happened to me, I mean, I didn't really care what other people thought about me. I think I was past that. I knew it was something spectacular. And so I didn't really care if somebody was going to judge me about it. I just knew that they weren't there yet. They didn't understand it yet. But yeah, my husband didn't want me talking about it to anybody that he knew at all. and when we would be at family parties and yeah, he would come up to me and like squeeze my arm and go, "We're not talking about this today." Because it was weird. I mean, it was. It was weird.
You had no education or study of spirituality beyond religious
Nada.
beyond religious programming that you had gotten.
Correct.
As a
Correct. And I actually knew, or it was, I didn't know, it was what I had heard is that this was like the devil's work.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
So I never believed that.
But it sticks someplace.
I do remember like somewhere in Catholicism hearing about psychics, or people that have these things that abilities, yeah. And that from the Catholic perspective, it was kind of a no-no.
Well, and it's so, I'm not going to do it, go down the rabbit hole, but it's really, really interesting. And I haven't read a lot of it, but when you look at how the church, all churches, but especially the Catholic Church, systematically discredited anything that didn't require you going through an intercessor.
Yes. Yes.
That
Yes.
You cannot find God on your own.
Well,
you cannot.
Have you seen the movie Conclave?
No.
Okay, you have to watch it.
That's good. Okay.
Yes. So I watched it for the second time last night because my son wanted to watch it and I didn't tell him I had already seen it because it's so good and he wanted to watch it and we were going to hang out together. But there is a point in the movie where the conclave is just beginning, and I wish I could remember the exact quote, but the quote has something to do with within the Catholic faith, there can't be certainty, and the cardinal says something to the effect that certainty is a sin. And it's like, in his opinion, the worst sin, because if you're certain, then where is faith?
Yeah.
And that faith rests on doubt. So think about this from a person's perspective. If they have doubt about everything, then faith helps them, right? But if they have certainty, they don't need faith. And it's interesting because I am certain of who I'm speaking with.
Yeah.
I am certain of the intention of the energy coming through me. I am certain that it is love
for good
and light, and the intention is positive. And so, unfortunately, I don't really consider myself Catholic any longer because
you don't resonate with the teachings.
I don't, and I don't have to go and confess to somebody else. Right. Because I don't have anything to confess. And I know that based upon everything that I've learned, having this connection. And there is a certainty. And so I find it interesting. I just thought that quote was just incredible because you do have to doubt in order to have faith.
Yeah.
And seek whatever it is from whatever religion.
Yeah. And all of them are purporting to be the one.
Yeah.
I mean, even I had a comparative mysticism segment in a course that I was taking with Jorge Ferrer, who's a scholar in mysticism, and he said even if you ask, the Dalai Lama will speak well of all of the religions. He won't speak, but it's still that their way is the only way.
Yeah.
Right.
It's interesting.
It's interesting how it.
And obviously that is. Obviously, it's a form of ego.
Yeah, which we all suffer. We're in bodies.
And it's a construct created for this realm, purposely created for this realm, helping us in this realm because the purpose of this realm is to have experiences that we can't have back home where we come from.
Right.
And so without the ego, we wouldn't be able to have the experiences, and they also wouldn't feel as real as they do. So,
they feel real.
Yeah, they do. That's a whole nother show. Anyway.
So now, what are your days look like? Who do you help? Who comes to you? How do you work with people?
So It started off with friends, and then friends told friends. And then a friend told a friend, and a friend came to me and said, "You need a website." And I said, I don't know if I do. It's working out pretty well, word of mouth. You need a website, and I'm going to do it for you. Thank you, Megan Ogden. And she created a website for me, and it's a nice,
Which is getintothelight.com.
yeah, getintothelight.com. And of course it helped. I, didn't know that I needed it at the time. But again, I was open and allowing. And she was so adamant about it and excited about it that she made me excited about it. And so now I have a website, and, random people do find me. I think that the majority of my sessions are word of mouth.
Mm-hmm.
But it's nice to say, okay, go to my website and read about this first, because I don't really consider myself a psychic, or a medium, because there might be a bunch of people calling me up, telling me I'm wrong, saying this, and that's okay. But I think that their intention is to connect you with loved ones who've passed on. And that's not
psychics and medium is the general. It's sort of the general gist of that.
Yeah.
Which is why I like the term conscious channel. I mean, you're a conscious being.
Yes.
And you're channeling this information.
Yes.
From the other side.
And my intention is not to connect you with your grandmother, not to connect you.
Right.
So I connect with.
That happens sometimes.
It does happen. They pop in and say hello, but I don't have a ton of practice doing that. And so it makes me a little nervous, not because I don't think I can do it, but just because I want to make sure that the information coming through is without ego.
Yeah.
So I don't want to get in the way of that. And when I'm channeling the collectives that I channel, I know I'm out of the way because I've practiced so much. I've been doing it for so long that it just comes through, and I trust them so much.
And can you discern the different energies?
Oh yeah,
it feels
it's heavy. It's not heavier. It's more intense, and it's all encompassing. Is the only way I can. And I trust it so much that I allow myself to let go when I'm channeling other energies that pop in. It's more. It's lighter, and I'm more present. Like myself, Laura is more present. Myself is more present for the interaction. But as soon as they start giving me names and things like that, then I start freaking out. I don't know. Yeah, my ego comes in. I start to worry I'm going to get something wrong, and then I feel like I'm almost censoring what's coming through, and I don't like that feeling. And so I give what I know is meant to be delivered, and it's always something that is positive. And I'm getting better. I'm getting better at letting them speak more, but that's not my initial intention, because there's so much to be gained from these other collectives that come through.
And are they coming without names these days? There's less about the names of
I know
who
it's
they
really
are.
it's funny because I sat during my meditation this morning before I got in the car to come here, and I asked about that because I'm on News for the Soul every other
the radio show.
Second News for the Soul, yeah, it's a radio streaming, the first and third Tuesday of the month at noon Central Time. And you can call in and ask questions, and I answer questions. And when I first started doing the show, which was, I guess, three and a half years ago, I was channeling Dearest, which is that first collective that I connected with. I was channeling the Council of Light. I was channeling the Witnesses. Oh, what was their name? The Witnesses to the Light Within. And the Maestros of Love. Can't even remember. It's been so long.
Interesting. Yeah.
But different collectives that called themselves these names. And they made it clear to me that that wasn't their name. Even Dearest, who goes by the Light Initiative, they explained to me one day that when I connect with them, when I connect with this energy, the energy expression of them, that I interpret the energy expression and give it a name myself.
Okay.
So when I feel that energy, it feels to me like the Light Initiative.
Okay.
And the vocabulary, the human language that comes from my feeling, it happens automatically within me. So I think they're saying to me, our name is the Light Initiative, when in fact what's happening is I'm feeling their energy, and something within me, because I'm a fractal of the consciousness, right? Declares this energy as the Light Initiative. And it's basically just a way for me to say, oh, when I feel this, I'm assigning, I'm stamping them with a name.
Because my understanding is we're in these bodies, we're in this plane, we name things.
Yes.
Things have names. That's how we create our reality. Back home where we're love and light, where it's colors, or it's
or feelings.
Or feelings.
Or feelings. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's because we're in these bodies to play in this pretend world, illusionary world, made up world, which was made up, created by source energy, so we could come here and have experiences that we can't have back home. And the intention of every experience here is expansion of the whole, the one.
Through contrast.
Correct.
Through light, dark, good,
correct.
Bad, loud, soft.
Do you hear them? They're coming through. They're actually starting to answer you. I don't know if they were like, correct, Matthew.
The committee's not here, are they?
They're like, we're here.
Yeah.
They're being kind. They're letting me speak because I'm getting better at it. I'm trusting myself more to relay the information without always needing them to come through and relay the information. It's becoming easier for me to talk about it because I trust that I'm picking this stuff up and I'm knowing this stuff. Plus, we're all kind of walking channels anyway. It's just a matter of what vibration are we holding. That's what we're channeling.
Yeah. And so you have somebody comes to you, and they ask you questions about their lives and what their challenges are. And
so when you were saying, what does a person look like that's coming to me? When I first started doing this work with the channel aspect, it was mostly people that were suffering horribly. I had tons and tons and tons of people who were in a state of suffering. And so they were coming to me for answers about their suffering, which was fantastic because the collectives that I work with are all about giving information on how to elevate your vibrational level, because we're all energy here. It's all about energy, but it is meeting the person where they are and giving the exact information that they need
at that moment,
as not to overwhelm, as not to deliver too much, as not to say things that are going to be so obscure they can't understand it. So I hate to use the term dumbing down, but initially
simplifying.
When they were speaking to me, I would say to them constantly, can you dumb it down for me, please? Just dumb it down for me, so that and they would use what I have access to, the vocabulary within me that I would understand. And so they did simplify it or dumb it down for me. And now I understand at higher levels, but I'm constantly saying, we want them to walk out here and we want them to know what they can do. We want them to be able to access a higher vibrational level and know that they are intentionally accessing a higher vibrational level so that they can feel better, for 3 minutes here and 3 minutes there, which all continues to build their vibrational level so that as they continue to walk forward and do this work, they are on a continual path of feeling better and better and better and better and better. And that's what my intention is to just sort of educate people about the truth of our world here, because we have not been taught the truth of our world here.
And that's essentially what happened to you as you opened. You didn't feel great. You were feeling terrible.
Yeah.
and you felt neutral.
I felt better.
Better.
I didn't feel good. I felt
You
better.
felt better.
But better was better. Better was better. It was so much better than how I was feeling prior, that I just wanted to sit and meditate for hours because, oh my gosh, this is better.
This is better.
Yeah.
You start to understand why there's monks in caves in Tibet that are sitting in bliss for 12 hours a day.
And honestly, Matt, also, I think what really drove me at that time was the fact that I knew, because before I knew what was wrong with me, quote unquote wrong with me, the depression that I was experiencing, before I labeled it, because I had been feeling it for a while and it had been building for years, but I never, ever would have stamped myself as a depressed person, ever, because I pretended all the time not to be. And when, that term, fake it till you make it, when I was faking it, I felt better.
Okay.
So,
because you could wallow in it and be, I'm depressed.
Yes.
Or you could be like,
yes, I could distract myself. And so that's what I was doing. I was distracting myself by pretending to feel good. And ultimately what was happening was I was starting to feel better because I distracted myself. But I was not doing it for myself. I was doing it for the other people around me.
For the family, yeah.
Because I didn't want them to know that I didn't feel good. Because I didn't understand why I didn't feel good. And I thought that something was wrong. Like I was like, what is wrong with me? So
I've done all the things. I've got all the things. I've got the 4 kids. I've got the house, the car, the dog, the husband.
Yeah. So truly, I think that having heard, read, known about all these people in the world that are depressed and not understanding how that happens, and then it suddenly was happening to me, and then I knew what it was, and so I could empathize at that point with all these other people because I didn't understand the powerlessness
that you could feel.
Yeah, I just thought, well, stop feeling that way.
Because it was so heavy.
Right? But I thought that all you have to do is stop feeling that way. I didn't understand that you couldn't stop feeling that way.
But it's sort of interesting because the guidance that comes through literally is stop feeling that way.
Yes. And so full circle, here we go.
Right.
It was like I first was a person that was judging depression.
Yeah.
As why don't they just stop themselves? And then I was a person that came into it and I was like, oh, yeah,
this sucks.
I can't stop feeling this way. I don't know how to stop feeling this way. And then they snuck in the back door and started rescuing me from myself and teaching me, yes, you can. If you can distract yourself away from those thoughts.
For a little while.
Even for a few minutes. You are building your ability to do that a little longer next time and a little longer than that next time and a little longer than that next time. And you're exactly right. I mean, that's what I do. I teach people how to intentionally focus on thought that feels better for linear time.
Because what you ultimately is very difficult to do is to take yourself quickly from a low vibration to a high vibration.
Impossible. Well, they're like screaming in my ear right now. Not impossible.
No, I didn't say impossible.
Oh, no, I did. I did.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Difficult.
Challenging.
Challenging to jump so many levels.
Because you're a lower vibration. And it's extremely challenging.
And it's the body. It's like the whole.
Yes, your whole body is vibrating. And the vibrational level comes from practicing focusing on thought that doesn't feel good.
That's what holds you in the low vibration.
That's what holds you in the low vibration.
Right.
And so
because you're constantly reinforcing it.
We're not taught an awareness that we actually can be aware outside of ourselves that we're experiencing something because we're experiencing a feeling because we're focusing on something. Mm-hmm. And the attachment between the focus of thought and the feeling. And that's another thing that they explained to me, that what you are feeling is irrelevant. It either feels somewhere in the realm of something you don't want to feel, or somewhere in the realm of something you find pleasurable or content or peace or joy or calm or love or something,
Right.
which would be considered a higher vibration, and everything else a lower vibration. And that we actually have the power to focus our thought on whatever we choose to focus our thought on. And this is...
Well, we're taught that it's put upon us. Like it seems the teaching
The
is that
feeling.
that it happens to us.
The feeling happens to us because that guy said those words to
Yes.
me,
And
and,
so
now I feel bad.
And right.
Yeah.
In one of my very first group experiences at a place called the Meadows, I remember it's an experiential therapy, and they were very specific there about saying, he makes me feel this way. You make me, it was this happened, and about that I feel. So we always had to change our language, that somebody doesn't make you feel anything.
Well,
You can feel something, but you had an experience, and you're choosing at some level to have the feeling.
the way that it's been explained to me, which I really think gives a lot of clarity, is you watch what happens, okay? You hear what happens. So we're using our five, our senses, which they refer to as energy deciphering mechanisms.
Taste, touch, smell, sight.
So we're all born into this body with energy deciphering mechanisms. Our feeling is also a sense, but we're not taught that.
Mm-hmm.
So our feeling is an energy deciphering mechanism. Our eyes decipher when that person does that thing outside of us, and we hear them, and then we get mad or angry or sad based on our energy deciphering mechanisms delivering information to us, right? But what's actually happening is, because we are all fractals of source energy, we are all energetic beings, we are all powerful beyond what we understand.
Yeah.
We are creators. And so what happens in every here now moment of our existence is we create a thought about what we're seeing, or a judgment. It's really a judgment, right? So he said those words, and now I'm judging him, I'm judging myself, I'm judging the situation, but I'm creating in my mind, I'm thinking about the situation. And the feeling is actually linked to what I'm thinking about, not to what happened outside of me.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with it.
So I'm a creator. I'm constantly creating thought. The thought that I'm creating is my God power. Every single thought, every single moment.
Is it safe to say that that's where free will comes in?
Correct.
We have the free will to choose
what
thought.
To think
what
about.
to think about it.
In every moment.
Right.
We have the choice.
Because stuff's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we're here. Stuff is always happening.
Stuff is always happening. But the connection to our feeling is because we are these little energy bubbles, and our natural state is a high vibrational state. We're source energy beings. So we're vibrating in our natural state at a high vibrational level, and then we create in our energy bubble. Mm-hmm. We create a thought about that thing that happened outside of us. Well, another one of their teachings is everything that comes into your experience is for your greatest good, right? So everything coming is a gift.
Yeah.
It's not being made aware to you if it is not a gift somehow. And so
at some level that you may not be present to.
Correct.
It
might be yes.
It might be at a soul level.
And
that
we might not realize it for 2 minutes or 2 days or 2 years, but somehow that's contributing to our greatest good. And so when we create a thought about it and judge it as not being a contribution to our greatest good,
yeah,
that energetic creation that we are creating with our thinking, with our God power inside our little bubble, which is a high vibrational bubble, doesn't resonate at our vibrational level. It resonates at a lower vibrational level. and it creates a feeling within us because of the low vibration that we have chosen.
There's a dissonance.
Yes, it's a dissonance.
Yeah.
And it feels like discomfort,
anger,
fear,
sadness, fear.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Anything below contentment.
Right.
So, annoyance is a low vibration. Fear is a low vibration. Angry, sad, frustration, shame,
Yeah.
anxiety, depression, all of it. It's just, those are the goodies, they call them. The goodies.
The goodies, right.
Everything available in this realm to have the experience of that which we are not.
Yeah. Yeah. And the more of those thoughts that you create with your God power, the more of this lower vibrational energy gets stuck in your.
You're choosing to bring into.
And it's now in your bubble.
Yes.
And lowering the overall vibration of your bubble.
And so the influence that has on you is that now you're vibrating at a lower influence, and you're sending that message out to the universe, because in every moment of existence here, the way we are feeling is the message we are sending out, asking the universe, more please,
Right.
more please. When you're feeling joyous, you're saying, more please, more opportunity for me to feel this way. And so into our awareness comes all kinds of scenarios, all kinds of, opportunities for us to feel that way again. And so that guy that said that thing that made me mad and made me create that idea, oh, he's a jerk, or oh my God, is that real about me?
Terrible, right?
Or whatever. Yeah. That came to me because at some point I was feeling a lower vibrational feeling, and that's what I was projecting out into the universe. And so the universe is like, oh, Laura wants to feel sad again. Let's throw him into her awareness so that she can experience that feeling again.
She's asking for it.
She's asking for it. She wants it.
She wants it.
And so it's very complicated, but it's really not.
Yeah, and I think back to, I went through a whole lot of chronic pain, pelvic pain. I literally shifted things out of alignment, and when I look at my vibration in hindsight, I mean, first of all, I'm super grateful for it now. Like you talked about, 2 minutes, 2 days, 2 years, whatever. It was awful. I had years and years of being depressed, of being in pain, but I also saw how I kept reinforcing it. I was so angry with myself, whatever that is, that this was happening. Like I remember one day in the bathroom screaming so loud that I burst a small capillary under my eye.
Yikes.
Just because nothing seemed to be moving. I was just this block. But I continued to call these things to myself based on my emotional state, my vibrational state. And more bad shit just kept coming to me.
Yeah. And so the more you focus on the problem or the bad state or the low vibration, that's what you're sending the signal of out.
Yeah, give me more.
And so you are that powerful.
Yeah.
Right? So that's just an example of the power that we yield in these bodies, that once we start to understand, you actually have the capacity, it's built in, for you to intentionally focus or direct your thought on things that are high vibration. How do I know it's a high vibration? Because you feel better.
Yeah.
So when I was meditating in the beginning, I wasn't thinking all those other thoughts. And so I was feeling calm and peace and better. I don't know what thoughts I was thinking. I think I was maybe just thinking nothing.
I was going to say, it doesn't even matter. You
Right?
just weren't thinking the low vibration.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so that's how I was rescued from myself. And the feeling is connected to what we are thinking about. And that's what we're not taught.
Yeah.
We're taught the feeling is connected to what that person outside of me does. So as soon as you start to gain an understanding that how you feel is 100% about what you're thinking about, then you kind of go, let me experiment with that a little bit.
Right.
And then I turn on my favorite song and start dancing
Yep.
and get swept up in the vibration of that favorite song, and I pull out my tambourine,
Right.
and which annoys the crap out of my family, and I'm dancing around my kitchen, and now I have no memory of what I was thinking about before. Like I'm so happy in this moment
Here in that moment.
that I can't even remember why I chose. Wait, I got to go play my song right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I do that because I'm not feeling good for whatever reason.
Whatever, it doesn't matter. The other thing, and I would take it further in terms of our programming, our teaching, at least in my experience, and I know especially many men, not only are we not taught this connection, we're also taught that emotions are bad.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we're also taught that anger is bad, right?
Bad.
Fear is bad. Don't show your fear.
Right.
So pretend you're not feeling it. And that's just squishing it down.
Even depression, we're taught, there's a pill for that. We'll fix
Get
you.
over it.
Get over it.
Get over it.
Get over it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, growing up, it was you can stop crying or I'll give you something to cry about.
Yeah.
So, I wonder now, when an emotion comes up and I go,
right?
The first instinct is to push it down.
Yeah.
And in my case, it took psychedelic medicine to give me these experiences of higher vibrations because I was so effing stubborn.
And also, and this is what I'm being given right now. So they're saying not only did it do that, but it also put you in a non-resistant state so that the lower vibrational blockages could exit.
Could leave.
So there was a lot in there.
Yes.
And so it was difficult for you to rescue yourself from it. And so that put you in a non-resistant state. And a lot of that stuff just kind of was able to leave you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, there was a lot there for sure.
Yeah, a lot of us have a lot in there.
A lot of us have a lot.
And so, for you to say, like, I think that's really great, Matt, that we're taught not to feel our feelings. But the fact that, just hearing my feeling is in relationship to what I'm thinking about.
Yeah.
So anytime I feel anything below contentment, it doesn't matter what it is. It can be rage or it can be annoyance. The reason for the plethora of opportunity of these lower vibrational feelings is because we have attachments to our beliefs that are also different levels. So if that guy sort of annoys me and he does that thing in my presence and I'm sort of annoyed and I can roll my eyes and be like, it's not that big of a thing. But if I see somebody, beating their child and I have a very
visceral,
strong attachment to the wrongness of that, now I'm really feeling angry. All that's doing is showing me my thought that I'm creating about the wrongness of that, my attachment to the belief system that's wrong or annoying.
There's a judgment there.
Exactly. And so my feeling comes through based on the level of my belief about what's happening.
Well, because ultimately they're teaching, the teaching that comes through in every session that I've had with you is that the emotions are the guidance system.
Well, so it's your guidance system
right?
alerting you
that
the thought you're creating is low vibration.
Yeah.
So the low vibrational thoughts that you create are contributing to your greatest good also. This is
right. Don't want to make them wrong.
Yeah.
I don't want to, but
yeah, they're not wrong.
They're not wrong.
They're available here.
Yes.
That's why you came here.
Yeah. And you can have you're perfectly welcome to have the experience.
As much as you want.
As long as you want.
For as many years as you want.
All the way till the end.
It's your choice.
Right.
It's called free will.
And your soul is up there going, bring it on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
So the low vibrational feelings are still contributing to you becoming more.
Yeah.
They're still contributing to the consciousness of the planet becoming more. They're still contributing to source energy as a one becoming more. What they're not doing for you, and this is what people don't understand also, is they're not aligning you with your desires. So when
that's where the guidance comes in.
And that's where the guidance comes in. That's why you have the guidance system, because Source knows that when you get here, you want to align as much as you can with your desires. You want to experience everything here that feels good to you. You don't want to spend years feeling
whether
bad.
That's mountain climbing, skydiving,
whatever appeals to you,
whatever it is,
yes.
whatever you feel good doing.
So the guidance comes in to alert you when you're focusing on low vibration, because this low vibration doesn't align with your desires.
And one person's low vibration might not be another's.
Every single person's low and high vibrational. Well, there are certain things probably that are a little more common.
For sure, but there's the infinite shades of gray in between there.
Yes. So every single time you feel discomfort, anything below contentment, it is your higher self, your guides, source, whoever is out there, your grandma, your mom, your dad, helping to alert you, hey, how's that feeling right now? Basically, the message is what you're thinking about right now is making you feel that way. Does it feel good? No. Mm-hmm. Okay, awesome. Do you remember that right now you are sending a signal out to the universe that you want to feel like this some more?
Yeah.
Oh, wait. Did you forget that? Oh, okay. Well, we're here to remind you with this feeling. So it doesn't feel good. It might feel like annoyance. It might feel like anger. It might feel like fear. It doesn't matter what it feels like. It isn't in alignment vibrationally with what you want, with your desires. So go ahead, spend 20 minutes doing that, and the universe will bring you lots of opportunities to feel that way again. And that's okay, because those are going to contribute to your greatest good.
Right. But meanwhile, you're wallowing in the low vibration.
But meanwhile, you're moving further away from your desires. Mm-hmm. So if instead you want to vibrate in alignment with your desires, then when you feel that anger, you can say, oh, I know what that is. It's guidance from my soul that I'm thinking a thought that doesn't align with my desires. So I'm going to do whatever I can right now to stop thinking that thought, and I'm going to think about whatever. It's irrelevant what I think about now. The only condition for me is that I feel better, because if I feel better, now this is the signal I'm sending out to the universe. Now I'm saying, look, universe, this is how I want to feel. Actually, I didn't want to feel that other way, and I'm stopping myself now. So now I want to feel this way. Mm-hmm. And that's the challenge. Yeah. So
to catch it and
for its truth. It's literally just source energy delivering information about what you're thinking about. And does it align with your desires, or does it not align with your desires? The more linear time that you spend feeling good, you are gaining vibration. It's getting higher and higher and higher. Every single thing you want is waiting for you in vibrational form.
Yeah.
And it is your job.
And you don't know it's there
because you can't see it
till you get there.
Because you can't see it.
You can't see it because you're not resonating with it.
Because your vibrational level isn't resonating with it.
Right.
So as you're getting higher and higher and higher and higher, because it's not going to drop down to the vibrational level you are, it's staying a high vibration, and you know it's a high vibration because you think about that person, you think about that house, you think about that kid, you think about whatever it is, and you go, oh my God, and it makes you feel good. That's how you know it's a high vibration. You have to bring your vibration up to meet it, and that's how you get it. Mm-hmm. And then it comes to you effortlessly.
Yeah.
But the challenge truly is in, I believe, our challenge is in reconditioning ourselves to recognize that the feeling I'm feeling is not because of him doing that thing. Mm-hmm. It is because I'm thinking a thought that doesn't align with my desires. So probably what I'm thinking is, what a jerk when he does that thing. What a jerk. But the reality is, he's not a jerk. He's doing that thing, first of all, because it's serving his greatest good somehow.
And yours.
But it's also come into my awareness because of something previously some signal that I sent out previously that is like, oh, he needs to come into my awareness. It might be because I need to practice remembering that it's not about him. It's about the thought I'm creating about him, and I'm thinking he's a jerk. And then I go, oh, wait, I'm thinking he's a jerk, and that's making me feel mad. Hooray.
Yeah.
But I have to have the awareness right here, right now, in this moment, and that's critical.
And that is where the teachings, the Eckhart Tolle and the teachings of there is only now.
Yes.
Because it's only in the now moment that you can have the awareness.
Yes. Which is a crazy out there thought for people that are not vibrationally aligned with it yet. Because I remember when I was there.
To 100%. I mean, and The Power of Now was one of the early books that I read during this.
So did you understand it when you read it? Because I read it and I didn't understand it.
It wasn't an understanding, but there was a deep knowingness that it was truth. It was rest. It was like, I was like, I couldn't have explained it the way that I haven't a limited understanding of it now, but it resonated. I read it again 10 years later. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
After doing a whole bunch of this work.
I read it when Oprah told me to read it.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
and I remember reading it going, I don't understand.
What's wrong with me?
Why don't I understand this? And I wanted so badly. And it's funny because I really wanted to understand it. So I'm assuming, I'm making the assumption that probably that was the same as your experience. Like I knew that there was something to this.
I knew there was more. I've always known there was more. Like even going back, I had an AP English teacher, Mr. Yarbrough. Thanks, Mr. Yarbrough, if you're still out there, who was like this Buddha figure. And he had us, we read Siddhartha and we read Camus and Kafka and we interpreted Stairway to Heaven and watched The Wall in class.
Wow, you're pretty lucky.
We're so lucky.
Yeah.
And even then, and I wrote a paper on the concept of nirvana, not the band, because I'm older than that. It wasn't even out yet. And it was, I remember I gave it to my father to proofread, and he's as left brain as they come. And he's, what's this garbage? And I was devastated. It took me, years of therapy, I think, to get over that, right? But even back then, I was like...
Because you created a thought in your mind in that moment, something's wrong with me, I'm not smart, this is garbage.
This is garbage, yeah. But even back then, I remember and I listened to New Age music. I was listening to Windham Hill all the time, and I knew there was more, but I didn't know how to get there, and I could see it in people. I could sense it. And then it was really, the psychedelics were great for opening me up, but similar to you finding the psychic work, I had our friend Lori had recommended to me Paul Selig, who's the conscious channel I talked about earlier. And I watched his YouTube with him channeling, and the way he does it is he whispers the words and he repeats them. And I was like, oh my God, what is
that? Right?
And I said, girls, we're going to the mall. And it was like late summer of COVID, and things were just kind of, I also went to Barnes & Noble. Thank God that they still have, bookstores.
I
bought 3 books and I didn't put them down.
Yeah.
And that was when then I started feeling it in my body. I would get put into a liminal state as I was watching his live streams or as I was reading the book. I would get just out, and I could feel the energy buzzing in my body just from reading this stuff.
So you knew.
So I knew.
Yeah.
That I knew. But there was for a long time still part of me that said, this is bullshit.
Yeah.
And then finally one day, you're talking about you make the choice. One day, finally I said, look, Kosterman, whatever you're doing is not working. And it's the cynicism. It was the cynicism that this can't be, that this isn't possible. And I said, well, let's just test out dropping that. And let's just test out. Maybe it is.
I think it's important to say that the vibrational level that you're holding prior to coming into this information is perfect.
Perfect.
Right?
Yeah.
Because we all sign up to come here. We all sign up to have certain experiences here. And we sign up to come here and have these experiences because every experience that we have of a lower vibration contributes to source understanding, because source is love and light. And so in the beginning, whenever that was, there wasn't any of these lower vibrational feelings, experiences available. And so in source wanting to know itself,
Right.
you have to have the experience of it.
For the contrast.
And the only way you can have the experience of it is to believe fully that your experience is real. And here we have Earth, and Earth was created for that reason. And so I think it's important for people to understand that we come here to have these experiences, and nothing is wrong here.
Nothing's wrong.
And
right.
so...
And you hear that when you're in a low vibrational state, and you're like, fuck you.
Yeah, right?
What do you mean nothing's wrong?
Well,
Why don't you?
Even in a higher vibrational state, I think it's hard sometimes to look at the
benefit,
the atrocities that are happening on our planet, and how do you hold the perspective that this is positive in any way, right? So what I have been taught, and I don't go into detail about it because I know people have knee-jerk reactions that they want to probably punch me in the face when I say this, but I pull my perspective up and I say, okay, if every experience here is teaching us more, not only about ourselves, but about the consciousness of the planet, it's contributing to source as a one energy, all-knowing, all-powerful energy of creation. We have to have the experience of these yucky things in order for us to look at them and go, we don't want to do that again. We don't want to know that again.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And we have the judgments about it as human beings here. And then all of that energy goes into the consciousness of the planet. And so now as human beings, we move forward after witnessing these things with an expanded state of clarity, an expanded state of understanding. And so the higher perspective is, well, look, that was necessary because look where you are now. And so when you think that this is all we are, a human being, then it's horrible.
Yeah.
And how could that happen? And why, if there's a God, would that happen? Why would God allow? That's the perspective that God is allowing it, or, whatever. Right. When in reality, we come here by choice to have experiences so that we can become more.
To grow.
And we're growing. And we can decide to judge an experience as bad or good, but from the higher perspective, there's not a bad experience because they all contribute.
Because ultimately, every being that's here, every 8+ billion, has made the choice to come in and have this set of experiences that they are having.
Yes.
As hard as that is to wrap your head around.
Yes.
And for me to judge somebody else's experience is for me to play God.
Yes.
And to question their choice as a being and God's source energy's choice.
And the backbone of it all is that they're coming in and they're choosing to have that experience because they understand how powerful it's going to be.
Yes.
And the contribution it's going to make to the consciousness.
Yeah, I mean, Paul, I love one of the things that Paul's guides often says, if you want to learn humility, what better way than to incarnate as a homeless person?
Yeah.
You're going to learn it. You're going to get a really big experience of humility. Not that I'm advocating homelessness, but that's going to be a lesson. Or you're going to come in. I saw some kids that were sight couldn't see, blind, with canes outside the grocery store this morning. I just, it brought tears to my eyes, and I thought, wow, what are they? Imagine what they're learning through that experience of not being able to see in this world.
Yeah. Yeah. And so to judge that as bad or wrong, and that's fine, because obviously somebody out there is judging that as bad or wrong. And so then they're like, oh, maybe I'm going to grow up and be a doctor, or maybe I'm going to invent something that's going to. And so all of that is positive.
Right.
But again, that is why we are here. All of it is a contribution. All of it is a contribution.
And I think there's a sense, and I've been working with this, but there's the sense that for whatever reason, the lower vibrational stuff that's still stuck in there, or the programming, that I'm not allowed to feel this expanded. I'm not, because as you start to expand, things in your life drop away. Things at lower vibrations drop away automatically. But there's a longing for them. There's a mourning for them. But there's also a pulling down,
or a conditioned worry.
Yeah,
a conditioned worry, like, I can't do that. I'm not that kind of, quote unquote, I'm not that kind of person that doesn't care. Right?
Yeah. That I need to, Leafy and I had this discussion in our session the other day. Like, she was a social worker and she was conditioned. She had to do that, but you're just as valid a human to be the CEO of a multinational company. I mean,
right. Yeah.
And for you to judge yourself as more or less in either role, you're not God. You're a part of God, but you're not ultimately.
The exciting part of this, the good news, in my opinion, in this information, in this knowledge, is that no matter where you are, if you start looking at everything as an opportunity, you start to build your vibrational level. You spend less linear moments here focusing on the victim, victimhood, victimness of yourself. And you just distract yourself away from that thought altogether. I'm not saying that bad things didn't happen to people. Bad things happened to me, that I perceive as bad. But here's an interesting little story about the person that sexually abused me. So he passed away, and I was sitting in a meditation, and I felt him. I felt his energy come to me, and I felt like it was an eerie sensation. And I knew that he had passed away, and I felt him come to me, and I said, no. And I'm putting my hand out in front of me. No. And in that moment, I saw a child and a robed, gowned adult man, because I could see the hand. I couldn't see the face on the man, but it was a man in some kind of religious gowns, robes with the dressing coming down the front. And this I would say he's 4 years old, 4-year-old boy, holding the hand of the man. And I was looking into the eyes of the little boy, and in that moment, I knew it was my grandfather. I knew it was him as a child. I knew that this happened to him. I knew. I got crazy goosebumps and energy all over my body.
I've got him now.
And I immediately started sobbing. Immediately. And all I wanted to do was take that little boy and put my arms around him and hug him and save him, right? And that, it's like that was the energy of my grandfather coming through. But I felt this other energy also, and I said, no. And the energy in the middle, like the
neutral,
said to me, your grandfather just wants to thank you for forgiving him. And I said, no, I did not forgive him. And they said, well, of course you did. Yes, you did. Because I did. I saw him as a child, and all I wanted to do is...
You saw where it came from.
And as soon as they told me that I had forgiven him, I, I started crying my eyes out. But I did know that I had forgiven him. And now I say prayers for him.
Yeah.
I mean, he's in my prayers at night. Never would I have thought that was possible from me. But I understand from this higher perspective now, and I've done a lot of work to be able to get myself to the higher perspective. You know, I don't know what the statistic that they say about sexual abuse,
It's probably low.
but probably on the lower side. I think it's grown over the years because more people have become honest about it.
Yeah.
But I do know that, I had a client come to me recently, and I get lots of clients that have experienced sexual abuse. And I'm sure that's because I can understand.
Well, your guides made me aware that I was sexually abused as a young child. That I had, even with a whole lot of psychedelic trips and all, that I had no presence to it.
Yeah.
But it makes it ties out.
Yes. There's a lot of smashed down memories, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they, when I say they, the collectives I work with, they have said to me, this is part of the consciousness of the planet, sexual abuse. It is part of the consciousness of the planet. And so it is not very unusual. We think it's unusual from the human perspective. When we find out about it, we don't talk about it. We hide it.
Yeah.
It's a
the
secret.
The
shame, right?
It's that low vibration.
But they're like, it's not unusual, and it happens to. So let me just ask right now. What would you say the percentage of the people on the earth? So they're showing me different locations.
Okay.
So let's go United States then. Like 90 something? Yes, 94. So they're saying 94% of people have experienced some kind of. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
And it goes with, hurt people.
Yeah. So again, for us to say, that's terrible. Yeah, it is terrible. Right? And when you think about these, especially children, right? But if you pull your perspective up and you try as much as you can to hold the higher perspective and recognize that we're actually coming here to have some of these yucky experiences so that source can expand, and that from the perspective of the consciousness of the planet, now we see what it's done. When you look back on the whole Catholic Church,
right?
Yeah. Now we see, and we're not standing for it anymore.
Right. We're shifting it.
And we're shifting it. Yeah, and we are demanding better of everyone.
Right. Because at not only the level of humanity, embodied humanity, but at a higher level, we've agreed enough of this.
Yeah.
We're moving out of this.
Yeah.
And just like our individual vibrations, it's difficult to move them overnight. When you think about 8 billion people moving the vibration. But it was David Hawkins, the enlightened psychiatrist, that said it was maybe the late 80s when it was the first time humanity's collective consciousness shifted into the positive realm,
and that it takes a lower number of high vibration people to shift it into a higher consciousness. And the reason is because the lower vibration, even, we look around the world and we think that the world is going to shit, right?
Yeah.
That lower vibrational level doesn't hold as much weight.
It doesn't hold the power.
Because it's illusion.
Yeah.
And so the scale is being tipped toward the higher vibration by less people.
By fewer people than you would think. Yeah, because when I initially started down this path, I thought, and started doing some pretty deep work, and I thought, oh my God, everybody's got to go do this, and how long is that going to take for because I'm out there, as you know, and it was at our workshop last weekend or 2 weeks ago, whenever it was, that I heard your guide say for the first time, no, it's really, they sort of put a number to it. It's a couple of 100,000, and they didn't really elaborate. But my intuition was it's a couple 100,000 people on the planet that are going to be moving into an enlightened Christ consciousness,
Yeah.
enlightened energy, and that is going to pull. And I'm feeling the energy of that right now.
They were explaining. I remember that now that you're saying that, and I don't remember a lot of what was channeled that day because it's been changing. But they were saying it makes a difference what level each individual fractal of the soul consciousness is at. So there's. I mean, I'm assuming that there is a very mathematical equation
Has to be.
to show the tipping point.
The tipping point.
Right?
Right.
And so when you look at these higher frequency human beings, each one vibrating at a different frequency.
Yeah, the Ram,
right?
the Ram Dass, the Krishna, the Jesus Christ,
and maybe even some regular people
Totally.
that we've never heard of
100%.
because they aren't published.
Right.
They're not on social media.
Right.
They still have that power.
Well, like the monks meditating in caves in Tibet are holding a really high high vibrational energy for the planet in order to counterbalance the millions of people in poverty and famine, etc.
Crazy. It's just all so crazy and cool and fun and exciting
and we chose to be here for it.
For it.
Right now.
Right now.
Yeah.
So true.
Yeah.
Every time I read historical fiction, I'm like, I wish I was alive, when King Henry and I got, and they're like, maybe you were.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why you're reading this book right now.
Right. And the real kind of mind fuck is that all is happening right now.
Right now.
The King Henry stuff.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because the linear time is an illusion for us to have these experiences. And
yeah. They gave me a visual that finally made me understand it.
what was what?
So I know I've showed you this before. So if I put my hands out, at like body's length, and they were showing me like, here's a linear moment, here's a linear moment, here's a linear moment. And so it creates like distance between my two hands in front of me. And then you take your left hand and you draw it down and draw your right hand on top of it. And then you push your hands together. And so it's really just like one stacking upon the next. But this is linear time. And it's necessary, again, like the ego being a construct of this physical realm. It's a necessary realm because we have to have memories in order to give our focus of attention to the past, in order to ignite feelings.
For the contrast.
For the
purpose of the contrast.
And for the future, the same.
Because I know, I think it was the very first session that I had with you. They said, because back home, we're all love and light. We know we're love and light. It's contentment on up.
Yeah, and it's not possible for us to be afraid.
To
or
feel
be
a fear
angry.
or be shameful or be,
because we know who we are.
Yeah. So, hey, folks, while you're here, wallow in it. Take it all in.
Be grateful for every moment and trust that every moment's a gift because it is.
It is. Yeah. Well, this was amazing as I knew it was going to be.
Woo-woo. I was under the impression I was going to be channeling the entire time.
And you were? No.
I didn't at all. It's crazy.
No.
Funny.
I thought maybe too, but hey, the next one.
I don't know. Maybe.
The next one. Yeah. Well, thanks for coming down to the
Thanks for having me, Matt. This was awesome.
I know how much you love 290.
It's an experience. Necessary for my soul growth.
I know.
And it was. I was blasting my Disney music
the
whole way here.
Yeah. Disney pulls down a lot of royalties on you. As there are more Lauras, you can go long on Disney stock.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, dear.
All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.